The bell above the boutique door chimed, and I froze, my hands hovering over a display of silk scarves. That particular chime could only mean one thing. Evelyn was here. I plastered on my best smile and turned to face my mother-in-law. "Catherine, dear," Evelyn's voice dripped with false sweetness. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." I swallowed hard, willing my voice to remain steady. "Of course not, Evelyn. What brings you to Stillwater Styles today?" Evelyn's eyes swept over the boutique, her lips pursed in thinly veiled disapproval. "Oh, I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd pop in. See how my son's investment is faring." I bit back a retort. This boutique was my dream, my hard work. Martin had supported me, yes, but it was my success, not his investment. "Business is booming," I said, gesturing to the bustling shop. "We just got a new shipment of those designer handbags you admired last month." Evelyn waved a dismissive hand. "I'm sure they're lovely, dear, but I'm more interested in how you're managing. It must be so taxing, running a business and trying to be a proper wife to Martin." I clenched my fists behind the counter. "I manage just fine, Evelyn. Martin and I are very happy." The bell chimed again, and I silently thanked whatever divine force had sent me a distraction. My best friend and part-time employee, Sarah, breezed in. "Kate, you won't believe what I just heard at the—" She trailed off, noticing Evelyn. "Oh, hello, Mrs. Caldwell. I didn't realize you were visiting today." Evelyn's smile tightened. "Hello, Sarah. I was just leaving, actually. Catherine, do remind Martin about our dinner plans this weekend. I'd hate for him to forget again." With that parting shot, she swept out of the store. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Sarah whistled low. "Wow, Kate, how do you deal with that woman?" I shrugged, trying to shake off the tension. "One day at a time. So, what's the hot gossip you were about to spill?" As Sarah launched into a story about the mayor's wife and a scandalous pair of leopard print leggings, my phone buzzed. A text from Martin. "Mom says she stopped by the shop. Everything okay?" I typed back quickly. "Fine, just the usual. Love you." The rest of the day passed in a blur of sales, inventory checks, and customer chatter. By closing time, I was exhausted but satisfied. This little boutique was my pride and joy, a testament to my eye for fashion and my business savvy. As I locked up, Martin's car pulled into the parking lot. My husband stepped out, looking dashing in his suit and tie. "Surprise," he called, holding up a bouquet of my favorite flowers. "Thought I'd treat my beautiful wife to dinner." I melted into his embrace, inhaling the familiar scent of his cologne. "You're the best, you know that?" Martin kissed the top of my head. "I try. How was your day? Mom didn't give you too hard a time, did she?" I hesitated, not wanting to spoil the moment. "Oh, you know Evelyn. She means well." Martin's brow furrowed. "Kate, if she's bothering you—" "It's fine," I interrupted, forcing a smile. "Really, let's not let her ruin our evening. Where are we going for dinner?" As we walked to the car, hand in hand, I pushed thoughts of Evelyn to the back of my mind. I had a wonderful husband, a thriving business, and a life I loved. I wouldn't let my mother-in-law's disapproval taint that. But as Martin started the car, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and sighed. "Mom wants us to stop by after dinner. Says it's important." My stomach clenched. Something told me this impromptu visit wouldn't end well. But I nodded, squeezing Martin's hand. Whatever Evelyn had in store, we'd face it together. Little did I know, that night would be the beginning of a nightmare that would test the very foundations of my marriage, my business, and my sense of self. I never imagined I'd be packing up our life in Stillwater, but here I was, surrounded by cardboard boxes and bubble wrap. Martin's voice drifted up from downstairs, his tone hushed as he spoke on the phone. I knew who was on the other end without asking. "How's she doing?" I called out when I heard him hang up. Martin appeared in the doorway, his face etched with worry. "Not great, Kate. The doctor says she needs round-the-clock care." I nodded, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. "We're doing the right thing, aren't we?" He crossed the room and pulled me into a tight embrace. "Of course we are. Mom needs us." I buried my face in his chest, inhaling the familiar scent of his cologne. It was comforting, but it couldn't quite chase away the nagging doubt in the back of my mind. The next morning, we loaded up the moving truck and said goodbye to our cozy little house. As we drove out of Stillwater, I couldn't help but feel like we were leaving more than just a home behind. Evelyn's sprawling Victorian mansion loomed before us, its imposing facade a stark contrast to our modest bungalow. Martin squeezed my hand as we walked up the front steps. "Catherine, Martin?" Evelyn's weak voice called from the living room. "Is that you?" We found her propped up in her favorite armchair, looking frail and pale. But her eyes, those piercing blue eyes, were as sharp as ever. "Mom," Martin rushed to her side. "How are you feeling?" "Oh, I'm fine," she waved him off. "Just a little tired. Catherine, dear, you look comfortable. I hope the move wasn't too taxing on you." I bit back a retort. Even on her sickbed, Evelyn couldn't resist a little dig. "It was fine, Evelyn. We're just glad to be here to help." The next few days were a whirlwind of unpacking, doctor's visits, and adjusting to life under Evelyn's roof. I tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy, setting up a small office to manage the boutique remotely. One afternoon, as I was going over the store's financials, I heard raised voices from downstairs. I crept to the top of the stairs, listening. "Martin, you can't possibly think it's appropriate for Catherine to be working at a time like this." Evelyn's voice, stronger than I'd heard in days, carried up the stairwell. "Mom, the boutique is her passion. She's not neglecting you." "Neglecting me? Is that what you think this is about? I'm talking about your wife's priorities. When I was a young wife." I'd heard enough. I marched down the stairs, my heart pounding. "Evelyn, I appreciate your concern, but I'm perfectly capable of managing my business and helping care for you." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Oh, Catherine. Always so independent. I just worry about the strain on poor Martin." Martin looked between us, his face a mask of discomfort. "Ladies, please, can we not do this now?" I opened my mouth to argue further, but the sudden sound of shattering glass made us all jump. Evelyn's favorite crystal vase lay in pieces on the hardwood floor. "Oh, dear," Evelyn sighed. "Catherine, would you mind cleaning that up? I'm feeling a bit faint." As I knelt to pick up the shards, I caught a glimpse of something in Evelyn's eyes. It wasn't pain or fatigue. It was triumph. That night, as Martin and I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd made a terrible mistake. "Martin," I whispered, "are you awake?" He rolled over, pulling me close. "What's wrong, Kate?" I hesitated, not sure how to voice my concerns without sounding paranoid. "It's just, do you think your mother really needs us here? She seemed awfully energetic today." Martin sighed. "Kate, please, she has good days and bad days. We need to be here for her." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. As I drifted off to sleep, Evelyn's triumphant gaze haunted my dreams. Something told me that this was just the beginning of a long, difficult battle, and I wasn't sure I was ready for what lay ahead. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, but I was already wide awake. I'd been up for hours, tossing and turning, my mind racing with thoughts of the boutique and the growing tension in this house. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Martin, and made my way to the bathroom. As I applied my favorite lipstick, a bold red that always boosted my confidence, Evelyn's voice drifted through the door. "Catherine, dear? Are you decent?" I sighed, steeling myself. "Just a moment, Evelyn." I opened the door to find her standing there, looking far more robust than she had in weeks. Her eyes narrowed as she took in my appearance. "Oh my," she sked. "Isn't that lipstick a bit loud for breakfast? And those pajamas, silk, I presume? How impractical." I forced a smile. "I like to start my day feeling put together, Evelyn, even if it's just for myself." She waved a dismissive hand. "Well, to each their own, I suppose. Though in my day, we didn't need such frivolities to feel confident." I bit my tongue, reminding myself to keep the peace. "I'll be down for breakfast shortly." As I dressed, I could hear Evelyn and Martin talking downstairs. Their voices were hushed, but I caught snippets. Wasteful, priorities, changes. My stomach churned. At the breakfast table, Martin barely looked up from his phone. "Morning, Kate. Sleep well?" Before I could answer, Evelyn chimed in. "Oh, I'm sure she did. Nothing like silk pajamas for a good night's rest. Isn't that right, Catherine?" I focused on buttering my toast. "They're comfortable, Evelyn. That's all that matters." Martin finally glanced up, his brow furrowed. "Mom, leave Kate alone. Her clothes aren't hurting anyone." Evelyn's lips thinned. "I'm just concerned, Martin. All these expensive clothes and beauty products, it can't be good for your finances, especially with Catherine spending so much time on that little shop of hers." I felt my cheeks flush. "The boutique is doing well, Evelyn. It's not a drain on our finances," Martin sighed. "Can we not do this now? I have a busy day ahead." As he left for work, I couldn't shake the feeling that he hadn't quite defended me, or the boutique. Later that afternoon, I was on a video call with Sarah discussing new inventory for the store when Evelyn burst into the room. "Catherine, I need your help immediately." I quickly ended the call. "What's wrong, Evelyn?" She gestured dramatically. "My favorite brooch. I can't find it anywhere. I need you to help me look." For the next 2 hours, we tore through the house. I knew this was just another of Evelyn's tactics to keep me from work, but I couldn't refuse. Finally, as I was elbow deep in a dusty closet, Evelyn called out, "Oh, silly me, it was in my jewelry box all along." I emerged, disheveled and frustrated. "Evelyn, I had an important call." Now, she interrupted. "Family comes first, doesn't it? Speaking of which, I was thinking we should go through your closet next, get rid of some of those flashier items. Martin always preferred a more understated look on women." I felt something snap inside me. "Evelyn, my clothes are not up for discussion, neither is my business. I've tried to be accommodating, but this has to stop." Her eyes flashed. "I'm only trying to help, dear. To make you a better wife for my son. Surely you can see that?" Just then, Martin walked in. "What's going on here?" Evelyn's demeanor changed instantly. "Oh, Martin, Catherine and I were just having a little chat about fashion." "Weren't we, dear?" I looked at Martin, silently pleading for him to see through his mother's act, but he just smiled tiredly. "That's nice. I'm glad you two are bonding." As he walked away, I felt a chill run down my spine. Evelyn's triumphant smirk told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't just about clothes or the boutique. This was a battle for control of my life, my marriage, my very identity, and Evelyn was playing to win. I woke up early, determined to get some work done before Evelyn could interfere. Tiptoeing past her room, I made my way to the guest bedroom we'd converted into my makeshift office. As I opened the door, my heart stopped. The room was empty. My desk, my computer, my files, everything was gone. I stood there, frozen, unable to process what I was seeing. Then I heard it. A soft chuckle behind me. "Oh, good morning, Catherine. I see you've noticed the changes." I whirled around. "Evelyn, what have you done? Where are my things?" She waved a dismissive hand. "I thought it was time for a little decluttering. This room will make a lovely sewing room, don't you think?" My hands shook with rage. "That was my office, my work. You had no right." Now, she interrupted, her voice sickly sweet. "I'm sure Martin would agree that family should come first. Your little hobby can wait." I pushed past her, racing down the stairs. In the living room, I found some of my clothes and personal items scattered across the floor. My favorite designer handbag, a gift from Martin, was conspicuously absent. "Looking for something?" Evelyn's voice drifted from behind me. I turned to see her holding my bag, examining it with disdain. "Such an ostentatious thing. I took the liberty of donating it to the church sale, along with some of your other excessive items." Something inside me snapped. "You had no right," I shouted, snatching the bag from her hands. "These are my things, my life." Evelyn's eyes hardened. Your life? Your life is here now, Catherine. With family. It's time you learned your place." I heard footsteps on the stairs and turned to see Martin, his face a mask of confusion. "What's going on down here?" Before I could speak, Evelyn burst into tears. "Oh, Martin, I was just trying to help organize, and Catherine, she just lost her temper." Martin looked at me, his brow furrowed. "Kate, what's this about?" I stared at him in disbelief. "Martin, she got rid of my things, my work, my clothes. She's trying to erase me." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sure Mom was just trying to help, Kate. You know how cluttered that room was getting." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Are you serious right now? She had no right to touch my things." "Catherine," Evelyn interjected, her voice trembling, "I only want what's best for this family, for my son." Martin put an arm around his mother. "It's okay, Mom. Kate, can we talk about this later? I'm going to be late for work." As he left, I stood there, clutching my bag, feeling more alone than ever. Evelyn's triumphant smirk told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't just about clothes or an office. This was war. That night, as Martin slept soundly beside me, I lay awake, my mind racing. I thought about my boutique in Stillwater, my friends, my life before all this. I thought about the woman I used to be, confident, independent, happy. I couldn't let Evelyn win. I couldn't let her erase everything I'd worked so hard for. Quietly, I slipped out of bed and made my way to the closet. In the back, behind Martin's old golf clubs, I found a small suitcase. With trembling hands, I began to pack a few clothes, some personal items, my laptop. As I zipped up the suitcase, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. The woman staring back at me looked tired, scared, but there was a fire in her eyes that I hadn't seen in weeks. I had a decision to make. Stay and fight, or leave and reclaim my life. As the first light of dawn crept through the window, I knew what I had to do. It was time to take a stand, for my business, for my identity, for myself. Whatever came next, I was ready to face it head on. Little did I know, The real battle was just beginning. The morning Martin left for his business trip, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. Relief to have a break from the constant tension, but dread at being alone with Evelyn for a week. As I helped him pack, I tried to keep my voice steady. "Are you sure you have to go?" I asked, handing him his toiletry bag. Martin sighed, avoiding my eyes. "You know I do, Kate. This deal is important for the company." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. As he headed downstairs, I caught a glimpse of Evelyn hovering in the hallway, a satisfied smirk on her face. The moment Martin's car disappeared down the driveway, Evelyn's demeanor changed. Her eyes, usually masked with false sweetness, now gleamed with open hostility. "Well, Catherine," she said, her voice dripping with disdain, "I suppose it's just us girls for the week. How delightful." I steeled myself, determined not to let her see my fear. "Indeed, Evelyn. I'm sure we'll manage just fine." That afternoon, I retreated to the guest room, desperately trying to salvage what was left of my work. As I sorted through the mess Evelyn had made of my files, I heard a noise downstairs. Curious, I crept to the top of the stairs. Evelyn was on the phone, her voice low but clear. "Yes, I've taken care of most of it. That little boutique of hers won't last much longer. Martin's starting to see reason, but we need to push harder." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just about controlling me in the house. Evelyn was actively trying to sabotage my business. That night I lay awake, my mind racing. I needed to protect what was left of my life, my identity. In the early hours of the morning, I made my move. Silently, I crept through the house, gathering what remained of my personal belongings. Clothes, jewelry, important documents, anything I couldn't bear to lose. I found an old suitcase in the attic and carefully packed everything away. As dawn broke, I hid the suitcase in the back of my car, under a pile of old blankets. Just as I closed the trunk, I heard Evelyn's voice behind me. "Going somewhere, Catherine?" I spun around, my heart pounding. "Just organizing some donations for the church sale. You seemed so keen on decluttering after all." Evelyn's eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. As I walked past her back into the house, I could feel her gaze burning into my back. The next few days were a twisted game of cat and mouse. Evelyn watched my every move, while I tried desperately to maintain some semblance of normalcy. I made excuses to leave the house, secretly checking on my boutique and touching base with Sarah. "Kate, things are getting weird here." Sarah told me during one of our hushed phone calls. "Some woman keeps calling, asking about our finances, our suppliers. She won't give her name, but I'm pretty sure it's your mother-in-law." My stomach churned. "Just don't tell her anything, okay? I'll figure this out." On the night before Martin's return, I sat in the darkened living room, clutching my phone. I'd just gotten off a call with my lawyer, discussing options I never thought I'd have to consider. Suddenly, the lights flicked on. Evelyn stood in the doorway, a triumphant gleam in her eye. "Oh, Catherine," she said, her voice sickly sweet. "I do hope you weren't planning anything rash. It would be such a shame if Martin came home to find his wife had abandoned him." I stood up, my hands shaking, but my voice steady. "I'm not going anywhere, Evelyn. This is my home, my life, and I won't let you take it from me." She laughed, a cold, harsh sound that sent chills down my spine. "My dear, you have no idea what I'm capable of. By the time I'm done, there won't be anything left of your life to take." As she turned and walked away, I knew I had a decision to make. Stay and fight, risking everything, or run and save what little I had left. Either way, the Catherine who had moved into this house was gone. In her place stood a woman ready to do whatever it took to reclaim her life. Tomorrow, when Martin returned, everything would change. I just hoped I was strong enough for what was to come. The day of Martin's return dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. I'd spent the night tossing and turning, rehearsing what I'd say to him. Today was the day I'd finally confront the issues head-on. I threw myself into preparations, determined to make everything perfect. I baked Martin's favorite apple pie, set the table with our best china, and even put on the dress he'd given me for our last anniversary. As I applied my signature red lipstick, I caught sight of Evelyn watching me from the doorway. My, she smirked. "Aren't we going all out? I do hope you're not setting yourself up for disappointment, dear." I ignored her, focusing on the task at hand. When I heard Martin's car pull up, my heart raced. This was it. "Welcome home, honey," I called out, rushing to greet him. Martin looked tired, his suit rumpled from the journey. He gave me a quick peck on the cheek, his eyes already scanning the room for his mother. "Mom? Where are you?" he called out. Evelyn appeared, arms outstretched. "Oh, Martin, we've missed you so much." I watched as they embraced, feeling like an outsider in my own home. When Martin finally turned back to me, his expression was guarded. "Kate, we need to talk," he said, his tone serious. My stomach dropped. "Of course, why don't we sit down? I've made your favorite." "Not now," he interrupted. "This is important." We moved to the living room, Evelyn hovering nearby with a look of barely concealed triumph. Martin took a deep breath. "Kate, I've been doing a lot of thinking during this trip. About us, about the future. And I'm worried." I felt my carefully constructed facade begin to crumble. "Worried? About what?" he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Your priorities, Kate. The boutique, your clothes, your lifestyle. It's also excessive. Mom's been telling me." "Your mother?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "Martin, she's been manipulating you. She's trying to control our lives." Martin's face hardened. "Don't talk about my mother that way. She's only trying to help. Maybe if you'd listen to her advice." "Advice?" I laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call getting rid of my things? Sabotaging my business?" "Your business," Martin scoffed. "Kate, it's a hobby at best. It's time you focused on what really matters. Family." I felt like I'd been slapped. "A hobby? Martin, that boutique is my dream. It's successful. It's who I am." "Maybe that's the problem," he muttered. Silence fell between us, heavy and oppressive. I could feel Evelyn's presence, a dark shadow looming over us. "What are you saying, Martin?" I whispered, dreading the answer. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "I'm saying maybe it's time for a change, for both of us. Mom thinks." "Stop!" I shouted, jumping to my feet. "I don't care what your mother thinks. This is our life, Martin. Ours." "Catherine!" Evelyn's sharp voice cut through the tension. "How dare you speak to my son that way? After everything we've done for you?" I whirled on her, years of pent-up frustration boiling over. "Everything you've done? You've done nothing but try to destroy me since the day I married your son." Martin stood up, his face a mask of anger and disappointment. "That's enough, Kate. I think you need to calm down and really think about your behavior, about our future." As he stormed out of the room, Evelyn close on his heels, I stood there, shaking. The carefully prepared dinner lay forgotten, the china gleaming mockingly in the fading light. In that moment, I realized the true extent of Evelyn's manipulation. She hadn't just turned Martin against me, she'd made him question everything about our life together. As I sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face, I knew I was at a crossroads. Fight for my marriage, my identity, my very self, or give in to the suffocating control Evelyn so desperately wanted. The woman I used to be, strong, independent, full of life, seemed like a distant memory. But as I sat there, surrounded by the wreckage of my carefully planned evening, I felt a spark of that old fire ignite within me. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The morning after Martin's return, I woke to an empty bed and muffled voices downstairs. My heart sank as I recognized the conspiratorial tones of Martin and Evelyn. I dressed quickly, determined to face whatever new challenge awaited me. As I descended the stairs, their voices grew clearer. "It's for her own good, Martin," Evelyn was saying. "She needs to learn her place in this family." I froze, my hand gripping the banister. Martin's response was too low to hear, but the resignation in his tone spoke volumes. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the kitchen. The conversation ceased abruptly. Martin avoided my gaze, but Evelyn's eyes gleamed with malicious triumph. "Good morning, Catherine," she chirped. "We were just discussing your future in this household." I squared my shoulders. "My future is my own to decide, Evelyn." Martin finally looked at me, his expression a mix of frustration and disappointment. "Kate, please, we're trying to help you." "Help me?" I laughed bitterly. "By erasing everything that makes me who I am." Evelyn's smile turned cold. "Oh, Catherine, you still don't understand, do you? This isn't about you. It's about what's best for this family, for Martin." Before I could respond, Martin's phone rang. He answered, his face growing serious. "I have to go to the office. There's an emergency with the Johnson account." As he hurried out, I felt a chill run down my spine. Evelyn and I were alone, and the look in her eyes told me she'd been waiting for this moment. "Well, Catherine," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "since we have some time alone, why don't we address your wardrobe issues?" I backed away. "My clothes are none of your business, Evelyn." She advanced on me, her frail appearance belying her strength as she gripped my arm. "Everything in this house is my business. Now, let's see what inappropriate outfits we can get rid of today." I tried to pull away, but her grip was like iron. She dragged me upstairs to the bedroom, throwing open my closet doors. "Strip," she commanded. I stared at her in disbelief. What? You heard me. Strip down to your underwear, now. My hands shook as I unbuttoned my blouse. Evelyn, this is insane. You can't. I can and I will, she hissed. You'll learn your place in this family, even if I have to break you to do it. Tears stung my eyes as I stood there in my bra and panties, feeling more exposed and vulnerable than I ever had in my life. Evelyn circled me, her eyes critical and cruel. Look at you, she sneered, to all that money spent on designer labels, and for what? To look like a common tramp? I hugged myself, trying to cover up. Please, Evelyn, this isn't right. She ignored me, rifling through my closet. One by one, she tossed my clothes onto the floor. My favorite dresses, my tailored suits, even the lingerie Martin had given me for our anniversary, all of it discarded like trash. We'll donate these, she declared. From now on, you'll dress like a proper wife. Modest, unassuming, invisible. Something inside me snapped. I lunged for my clothes, clutching them to my chest. No, these are mine. You can't take them. Evelyn's hand cracked across my face, the slap echoing in the quiet room. I stumbled back, shocked. You ungrateful little bitch, she snarled. After everything we've done for you? Well, no more. You want to act like a whore? Fine. Let's see how Martin reacts when he finds out about your indiscretions. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? She smiled, a terrible, triumphant grin. Oh, I have ways of making sure Martin believes whatever I tell him. By the time I'm done, he'll be begging me to throw you out. As she stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her, I sank to the floor amidst the wreckage of my wardrobe. My cheeks stung, my dignity was in tatters, and the life I'd built seemed to be crumbling around me. But as I sat there, something hardened inside me. A resolve I didn't know I possessed. Evelyn had pushed me to my limit, but she'd made a fatal mistake. She'd left me with nothing left to lose. I sat on the floor of my ransacked bedroom, my mind racing. Evelyn's threat echoed in my ears, and I knew I had to act fast. With shaking hands, I reached for my phone, ready to call Martin and beg him to believe me over his mother. But before I could dial, I heard a car pull up outside. Peering through the window, I saw a familiar face that made my heart leap with hope. Uncle Peter, Martin's estranged uncle, and the black sheep of the family. He was early for his annual visit, and I'd never been so glad to see anyone in my life. I threw on a robe and raced downstairs, nearly colliding with Evelyn in the hallway. Her eyes widened in shock as the doorbell rang. "Catherine, don't you dare," she began, but I was already yanking the door open. "Uncle Peter," I cried, throwing my arms around him. He hugged me back, then held me at arm's length, his brow furrowing as he took in my disheveled appearance and tear-stained face. "Kate, what on earth is going on here?" Before I could answer, Evelyn appeared behind me, her face a mask of forced pleasantry. "Peter, what a surprise. We weren't expecting you until next week." Peter's eyes narrowed. "Clearly. Now, would someone like to explain why my niece-in-law looks like she's been through hell?" In that moment, everything I'd been holding back came pouring out. The manipulation, the gaslighting, the physical and emotional abuse. I told Peter everything, my voice growing stronger with each word. Evelyn tried to interject, her voice sickly sweet. "Oh, Peter, Catherine's been under so much stress lately. She's not thinking clearly." "Shut up, Evelyn," Peter snapped, his voice cold. He turned to me, his eyes kind but determined. "Kate, pack a bag. You're coming with me." "She most certainly is not," Evelyn shrieked, dropping all pretense of civility. "Martin will never allow it." As if on cue, we heard Martin's car in the driveway. He walked in, his face a mask of confusion as he took in the scene before him. "What's going on here?" he demanded. I stood tall, facing my husband. "Martin, I'm leaving. I can't live like this anymore." His eyes widened. "Kate, what are you talking about? Mom, what's happening?" Evelyn latched onto Martin's arm. "Oh, darling, Catherine's just upset. She doesn't mean it. Tell her she can't leave." But Peter stepped forward, his voice firm. "Martin, your wife has been subjected to emotional and physical abuse in this house. By your mother, and you've allowed it to happen." Martin's face paled. "That's not... Mom, is this true?" Evelyn's facade cracked. "I was only trying to make her a proper wife, to save your marriage." "By destroying everything I am?" I countered, my voice steady. "Martin, I love you, but I can't stay here. Not like this." Martin looked lost, torn between his wife and his mother. But Peter wasn't finished. "Kate," he said gently, "I have a proposition for you. I've been looking to invest in a promising business. How would you like to expand that boutique of yours?" I gasped, hardly daring to believe it. "You do that?" Peter nodded. "And I have a great lawyer who can help you, with whatever you decide about your marriage." Martin's head snapped up. Divorce, Kate? No. But I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. For the first time in months, I saw a future that was my own. I'm sorry, Martin, I said softly, but I need to do this. For me. As I packed my bags, I could hear Evelyn's shrill voice and Martin's confused protests, but they felt distant, like a storm I was finally walking away from. Peter waited for me by his car, a supportive smile on his face. As we drove away from the house that had become my prison, I felt a mix of sadness and exhilaration. Where to? Peter asked. I thought of my boutique in Stillwater, of the life I'd built before all this, of the woman I used to be, strong, independent, full of dreams. Home, I said firmly. I'm going home. As we hit the open road, I closed my eyes, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. Evelyn had tried to break me, to mold me into someone I wasn't. But in the end, she'd only made me stronger. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for certain. I was Catherine again, and this time, no one would ever take that away from me.